Have you ever wondered why certain sunnahs seem to disappear from our lives, almost as if they've been forgotten? Today, I want to share with you a small yet powerful sunnah, something so simple that it takes only a second, but it carries blessings for both your health and your soul. The Prophet Muhammad Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam encouraged starting a meal with just a tiny pinch of salt. SubhanAllah, this is not just about flavor. It's about balance, protection, and remembrance of Allah in even the smallest actions. Sadly, most Muslims today don't even know this sunnah exists, but reviving it could transform the way we eat, the way we think, and the way we live. In this reminder, let's explore why this forgotten practice carries such deep wisdom and why bringing it back into our daily lives is a step closer to the beautiful path of the sunnah. 1. The forgotten sunnah of salt before meals. Among the countless treasures in the sunnah of the Prophet Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam, there are some practices that many Muslims know well, such as starting with Bismillah before eating, or eating with the right hand. Yet, there are also sunnahs that have faded from our daily lives, almost hidden in plain sight. One of these is beginning a meal with a small pinch of salt. This practice is not just about taste, it carries spiritual depth. The sunnah teaches us that Islam is not restricted to the mosque, prayer mat, or major rituals. Instead, it encompasses every detail of life, even the way we begin our meals. By starting with salt, we remind ourselves that nothing in Islam is random. Every instruction from the Prophet Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam has layers of meaning, wisdom, and mercy for humanity. The beauty of this sunnah lies in its simplicity. It costs nothing, requires no preparation, and takes only a second to practice. Yet in that small action, a believer is able to revive the memory of the Prophet Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam in their daily life. Imagine the reward of being among the few who remember what the majority have forgotten. This alone should be enough to inspire Muslims to rediscover this sunnah and bring it back to the table. Reviving forgotten sunnahs has another unique blessing. It is mentioned that those who hold on to neglected practices gain multiplied reward because they are carrying the torch of remembrance in a time when most people ignore it. This makes such small practices incredibly valuable, not only for personal spirituality, but also for keeping alive the legacy of our beloved Prophet Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam. 2. The health benefits and wisdom of salt. While the sunnah is primarily a path to spiritual closeness, it often carries practical benefits that modern science continues to uncover. Salt, when consumed in moderation, is not merely a seasoning, it serves important functions in the body. Starting with a small pinch before a meal prepares the digestive system, stimulates saliva production, and signals the stomach to release digestive enzymes. This natural process helps the body break down food more effectively. Another subtle benefit is balance. Salt awakens the taste buds, allowing the body to better detect flavors and regulate appetite. Without this balance, people may overeat or feel unsatisfied, even after a full meal. The wisdom of beginning with salt aligns perfectly with modern health insights about mindful eating, something our Prophet Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam embodied long before the science was documented. Moreover, salt has antibacterial qualities. Placing it in the mouth before eating can help cleanse the oral cavity, reducing harmful bacteria and preparing the mouth for food. In societies where advanced hygiene and toothpaste were not common, this simple act offered natural protection for health. We must also acknowledge the broader perspective. Allah created everything with purpose, and natural substances like salt are tools of healing when used wisely. The Sunnah guides us to moderation, never excess. While a small pinch of salt before meals brings benefit, overconsumption is harmful, leading to issues like high blood pressure. The balance taught by Islam keeps us safe. To embrace the blessings of salt without falling into harmful extremes. This shows us another principle. Every sunnah not only benefits the soul, but also preserves the body. The Prophet, Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam, taught practices that make us healthier, stronger, and more disciplined, reminding us that caring for the body is part of our faith. Salt, in this case, is not simply flavoring, but a means of harmonizing physical health with spiritual intention. 3. The spiritual wisdom behind forgotten sunnahs. The sunnah is more than a collection of habits. Each action of the Prophet, Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam, contains spiritual lessons. When we start with salt, the benefit is not only physical but symbolic. Salt has a unique quality. It enhances everything it touches, yet on its own, it is plain and humble. This reflects a profound lesson. A believer may appear ordinary in this world, but when connected to the Sunnah, they bring out the best in every situation, just like salt enhances every dish. Furthermore, salt reminds us of moderation. It cannot dominate the food, but it cannot be absent either. It must be in balance, just as faith teaches balance in all aspects of life, between worship and work, family and community, body and soul. By beginning with salt, we are reminded of this balance every time we eat. Another layer of wisdom lies in the concept of protection. Scholars have mentioned that salt before meals can shield a person from certain ailments and even protect spiritual states by aligning one's intention with the Sunnah. In a world where people often chase complicated remedies, the Sunnah brings simplicity, protection through small, consistent acts. Spiritually, reviving forgotten Sunnahs keeps the heart alive. It strengthens the believer's love for the Prophet, Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam. For every time they practice it, they recall his guidance. This remembrance transforms eating, something ordinary, into an act of worship. Even the most routine parts of life, like beginning a meal, become infused with spiritual light. In essence, forgotten sunnahs are not accidents of history. They are tests for the believers of every generation. Will you remember what others neglect? Will you honor the Prophet, Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam, in the smallest details or only in the major rituals? Those who answer this call are given blessings that go beyond imagination. 4. The reward of reviving neglected sunnahs. One of the most beautiful promises in Islam is that reviving a neglected sunnah earns extraordinary reward. The Prophet, Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam, taught that whoever brings back a forgotten practice receives the reward of those who follow it, without their reward being diminished in the least. Imagine the ripple effect. You practice something small, your children observe you, your family adopts it, and others around you are inspired. Every time they follow that sunnah, you share in their reward. This is why forgotten sunnahs are golden opportunities. They are not just personal habits, they become ongoing charities, spreading blessing long after you are gone. The pinch of salt may seem insignificant, but in the sight of Allah, its reward could outweigh mountains of good deeds because it represents loyalty to the Prophet, Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam, when others have forgotten. Reviving neglected sunnahs also builds identity. In a time where many Muslims feel disconnected from tradition, practicing such acts gives a sense of belonging to the legacy of the Prophet, Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam. It shapes character and reinforces the idea that Islam is lived through small, consistent actions, not just big gestures. It also deepens one's gratitude. The moment you begin a meal with salt, you are consciously linking your action to divine guidance. Gratitude then enters the heart, not just for the food, but for the gift of Islam itself, which even in the smallest matters provides light. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches humility. A small sunnah may not impress the world, but it is precious to Allah. This humbles the believer, reminding them that greatness in Islam does not lie in how grand an act looks, but in how sincerely it is done for Allah's sake. A pinch of salt, when done with love for the Prophet, Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam, becomes a key to eternal reward. Alhamdulillah, my brothers and sisters, we have learned today that even the smallest sunnah, like beginning with a pinch of salt, can bring immense blessings into our lives. Never underestimate the power of reviving forgotten practices of our beloved Prophet, Salallahu Alayhi Wasalam. If you found this reminder beneficial, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Pious Deen for more inspiring content. And before you go, make a positive prayer. May Allah grant us the strength to revive the Sunnah in our lives. Comment this below and let it be your dua and your sadaqah.